I can't believe 1 year ago we moved from our small town to Charleston. So much has happened since then. In fact, this past weekend we went to Summit of Greatness in Los Angeles with our friends Harris and Paul that we mentioned in this episode. It was amazing because we had a big group of us, and a woman at the festival actually commented that she didn't know if she would have this many friends who were interested in self-development to bring to a conference like this. And it really made me appreciate that our deliberate effort to build a community paid off in a huge way. And what's fun is that after this episode came out, in January, we also went to Camp Phi to talk about this topic. And that speech has just been released, so we'll share that in our show notes as well. We had so much fun discussing this topic, and it's so cool to look back and see the results. Let's get into it.
Oh, wake up, rethink the status quo. When you get your money right, then you're the one who runs your life. Come build a wealthy spirit with Sammy and Michelle.
Monday night I found myself roaming the streets, looking for an old church built in the 1700s. A church that's naturally on the haunted ghost tour of our town, because I was attending a meeting on death.
As one does.
I joined a group of also death lovers, people ranging in age from my age, in their early 20s even, to upwards of 70 or more. Some people were there because their death is impending. Some people recently lost someone. Many of them were there just because they know that death is an important thing to talk about. And that's why I was there too. I know that thinking about death is one of the most important meditations to help live a fulfilling life. But also, I was there to meet people over a little bit of cake and a little bit of tea. I was there to talk death.
While I did not go with you, Sammy, shockingly, I am so happy and excited that you're putting yourself out there and meeting new people, especially with our move. We're in a new town. And I'm not sure if y'all heard, there is a friendship recession out here, people. And that's something that we wanted to address today. The loneliness epidemic. Yes, they called it an epidemic right after a pandemic. Pretty serious, to be honest. We're throwing around the demic words, in my opinion. But I do see how it can be applicable. A lot of people, a lot of adults, say they only have one close friend. And Sammy and I, right now with our move, we're focused on building community. So we thought, what a great time to talk a little bit about how you can inoculate yourself against the loneliness epidemic and build community. Because we're trying to build community, and we'll share with you what's been working for us.
Let's get into it. Now back to today's topic. Building your dream community in a friendship recession and during the loneliness epidemic.
And Sammy, we're not being hyperbolic when we're talking about a loneliness epidemic. Vivek Murthy, the Surgeon General of the United States of America, actually proclaimed this. So this is not just some catchy trend or something going around TikTok. This is a real problem addressed by the Surgeon General of the United States of America.
It's true, Michelle. Dr. Murthy traveled the country trying to figure out the status of the people of the United States, and one of the biggest things that he noticed was insufficient connection, loneliness, people not having a community. And when the Department of Health and Human Services discusses the loneliness epidemic that Dr. Murthy has put forth, they know that insufficient connection actually increases heart disease by 29%, increases your risk of stroke by 32%, and increases your risk of dementia by 50%. In their piece, they actually say that lacking social connection increases the risk of premature death by more than 60%.
That's insane.
These numbers are insane. And Michelle and I have actually just moved to a new city. We moved to South Carolina, and we are looking to build a community, and we want to be really deliberate about it. This is not your grandmother's guide to building a community, aka everybody lives near you and you never leave your same town. No, this is a deliberate and actionable plan to build a community that resonates with you, because it is so important to not only your life, not only your happiness, but also your health.
That would literally be our grandmother's guide to building a community.
Her guide, have 14 kids, you got a community.
So what's the first step? I got you. Close your eyes. Envision yourself surrounded by people. Feel the love and joy and connection you have with these people. Focus in. Who's with you? What do they look like? Do you know them? What are they talking about? What type of themes are in their conversations? Do they have kids? What stage are they in their life? Where are you? Step 1 is envisioning your community. And the reason I think this is important, Sammy, is because you can make friends with a bunch of random people, but I think it's really important. Know your values, know your interests, and actually think about what type of people you want to attract.
It's true, Michelle. When Michelle asked me this question, I thought about my dream community, and I thought about a vision like she described. And in my vision, we were actually at the beach. It was a bunch of couples and friends, even their kids. You know, I'm in my 30s, so, I have to add the kids to the imagination. And we were having a lovely picnic, one of those glam picnics with a little mini table, and we were all sitting on zafus, eating food, playing beach volleyball, surfing. Everybody was really enjoying their time, and we were all also practicing a healthy lifestyle. It was just overall a wonderful vision.
A lot of beach volleyball in your visions for someone I've never actually seen play beach volleyball. But now that I know that's important to you, I'll start working on my set.
The nice thing about beach volleyball is it's not that serious. No! Except, like, in the Olympics, don't want to insult anybody's literal sport. But most of the time when it's you and your friends, you're just bopping the ball around.
Please do not insult our audience that plays Olympic-level beach volleyball. Step 2. Put yourself out there. Create a strategy for how you're going to make friends. And that strategy should include get yourself out there, get yourself out there, get yourself out there again. As my mother likes to say, you're not going to meet anybody sitting alone in your home.
She does say that.
Specifically now to me. Like I don't have friends.
Michelle and I are actually doing this right now, so it is a great time to talk about this on the podcast. We are putting ourselves out there and going to lots of events. Yeah, sure, I'd love to talk about death, but more importantly, I want to meet new people. I've been using things like meetup.com to find awesome groups to meet with. If you follow websites or pages about your interests, maybe a Facebook group, maybe a Google search, you'll find a church group or a spiritual group or a sports group or something related to your hobbies. Maybe it's crocheting or painting, or you wanted to get into something. You can find tons of meetings that you can attend and meet more people.
Exactly. Sammy and I have gone to so many meetups in so many different places. We've done Bumble BFF. I had a group of girlfriends. We would go to their birthday parties. We would go to the candy museum with them. We did a lot of fun stuff in San Francisco, and we met them on Bumble BFF. And the best thing is, even if you're hesitant about things like, say, Meetup or Bumble BFF, they are a really great way to figure out what's going on. And once you're there, you can actually ask people who are there, oftentimes locals, what other groups and stuff there are. In our writing group that we went to, we met up in a coffee shop, and they've been mentioning this other group like 20 minutes away. And I'm like, shoot, we could join another writing group.
And if you're not saying that your town has a group, be the leader. Maybe make a book club or something that you're interested in. Post about it in the libraries and Starbucks, and schedule your own meeting and meet people on your own. That can be great too because you're meeting them in a way that interests you.
In our small town, one day Sammy was in our local coffee shop, Starbucks, and we saw a sign for a book club, which is not common in our town. There's no meetup page, I'm assuming.
Yes, this is back when we lived in the desert.
When we were in the desert. And we went there, we met some really interesting people. Of course, they were leaving, as interesting people do, in that town. But it was really cool to connect with them. And honestly, we read the book Just Kids, and I loved it.
It's true. And another important thing is telling people that you know that you're looking for friends. This will also help you have more opportunities to meet people that they may know in town.
Oh yeah, Sammy. I told my college friend Suhaila that I was moving, and she has a friend, Val, who's moving here in February. So, Val, hope we can hang out. But it's nice because we already have a mutual friend. Like, we're both really close to my friend Suhaila. And I've met her before, so I actually really love her. But I would have no idea, because we're not connected on any platform, that she was moving here.
It's true. The goal of this step of the community building is mainly to meet as many people as possible. It doesn't matter if you're worried that these people aren't perfect fits. Right now, it's about getting contacted, becoming acquaintances with as many people as you can.
I'll add, Sammy, too, that if it is a recurring event, I think it's really good to just keep showing up. Honestly, I always say that my key way of making friends is I just keep showing up until people all of a sudden realize that I'm their friend. Because they're like, well, Michelle's here. Gotta include her. And if you're a slow burn like me, it's a great way to meet people. But the consistency, I think, helps so much. And you're helping their group grow.
Step 3 in community building. Create a friend database. You know, Michelle and I, your girls at Build a Wealthy Spirit, we do not do anything without a spreadsheet.
How could you?
How could you? It's like so disorganized.
How could you make it into your adult life without loving a good spreadsheet or Notion document?
If you're wondering why you don't have the community that you want, probably because you didn't have a spreadsheet.
Durr. In all seriousness, Sammy, I love this. Actually, when I was joining my first online community last year, Rite of Passage, I knew I was going to meet a lot of people. So I was like, let me just make a quick CRM, sales of sorts database, name, notes, where I met them. And I figured it would be helpful. Oh my gosh. I actually ended up meeting over 100 people during my 5 weeks there. And let me tell you, by week 3 or 4, you start to forget people. But I would just quickly reference my database. I'd have some notes. A light bulb would click. And it helped me build deeper relationships with people because I would actually remember things about them and we could have a better connection every time we connected. The friend database, let me tell you. Actually, I'll make a template and I'll share it in our show notes. So if you have one and you use something like Notion, feel free to duplicate it and use it for yourself.
I'm not gonna lie, the first time I saw Michelle's friend database, I thought it was a little creepy. You've got names, photos of people, a blurb about them, maybe their birthday if you figured that out.
Okay, no. Okay, I just want to clarify really quick. There were no photos of birthdays.
Oh.
I'm not a total creeper.
My bad.
Sammy has added photos into our database. So
it's
actually,
just because I don't remember
creeper.
who they are.
So in case you're wondering who's a real creeper. But it is creepy. Like, it's not something I'd want leaked out, you know, like my thoughts on people and their puppy's name.
It's true. If anybody stumbled upon this, they would think that you are 100% a psychopath. But I'm not gonna lie, once we started doing the friend database, I really found it so helpful because right after you meet everybody in a meetup, you think you remember their names, you think you remember things about them, but you really forget. And if you put all that information into a friend database, it can be a quick memory jog. And if you're going to that same meetup again, and you remember things about all these people, then you have something to talk to them about. You don't see them and think, ooh, what's their name again? Or, ooh, I forgot, did they live in like South Carolina or North Carolina? They just moved here, I can't remember. No, you have more concrete data. And as Dale Carnegie from How to Win Friends and Influence People says, people love hearing you say things and know things about them. They love talking about themselves. So to have that foundation, to remember what they told you, to really invest and care about that relationship by organizing it in the database helps to build the friendship even further.
Yes, Samantha. I love what you said there. We are in a friendship recession, y'all. Get organized about making friends. If you want to meet people, you need to remember that their puppy is named Pepper and that they spent 3 years in Portugal.
Step 4. Hang out again.
Hang out again. This is Sammy and I's long-term plan.
We've actually gone to some of the meetups twice now, and it is building relationships. It's funny because the second time you see people, you know them, you feel like you know them a little bit better. You feel that closeness. You don't have to do that awkward introduction again. And it puts you in a much more comfortable mood for meeting everybody else as well. So it's really important to keep showing up to these events. So you're going to these meetups, you're meeting people, you're hanging out with your Bumble BFF, you're getting to know some people at your local coffee shop, and now it's time to get all your friends together. Yes, of course, you may be able to ask one friend to hang out, but sometimes that feels super vulnerable, and going on a friendship date is not always the most fun and exciting way to meet somebody.
Plus, if you have kids or other responsibilities, you don't always have time to go on individual coffee dates with 10 people.
That's where Nick Gray's 2-hour cocktail party comes in handy.
That's right. We're bringing back Nick Gray's 2-hour cocktail party. We have been sitting on the information that we shared with you in that episode, and Nick Gray is going to be proud of us, gosh darn it, because we are going to throw our 2-hour cocktail party.
If you don't know what we're talking about, please see our earlier episode where we talked to Nick Gray, or you can read his book, The 2-Hour Cocktail Party. Pretty much, the 2-hour cocktail party is a very organized style, punctual party where you bring together a bunch of people who don't know each other, and you all get to meet each other in a semi-structured fashion.
Yes. I will share the information for the book and our episode in the show notes. But it's definitely a really good one, especially if you feel kind of shy about throwing a little party. He makes it super, super easy.
Keep an ear out for what people at your groups are talking about. For example, at my Death Cafe, I met Harris and Paul, a lovely couple, and they told the group that they actually host a meetup called Deep Talk. They mentioned this in passing, but at the end of the meetup, I went to talk to them, and I told them that group sounded cool and I was interested in joining. Today, I actually got to go to their Deep Talk meetup. It was amazing. I got to meet a bunch of people and spend hours with them, so I actually learned a lot about them in that time period, and I found another way to connect with even more people. So keep an ear out for any events people mention.
I love that, Sammy, because I think a key part of this too is being vulnerable. I love this story of my friend Lauren. She moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and she was telling me that she didn't really know anybody. She was having trouble meeting people at her work because she had moved into a manager position. So it's not really like she could just hang out with her employees the way that she used to. And she was going to the cycling class that she loved. The cyclist had great energy. She seemed super interesting. And after a few classes, Lauren approached her and said, "Hey, I'm new to town. You seem really cool. I honestly don't know anybody. So if you're open to it and you end up doing something with people, I would love to be included." And she gave her phone number. No expectation. It's totally fine if it doesn't happen. But they ended up being really good friends. And so I just thought that was so cool. She's doing something she loves. She's exercising. She's going to the spin class. And she used that as a way to meet people. But she didn't just show up. She took that extra step, which was being vulnerable and admitting that she wanted to meet new people.
I love that, Michelle. I recently was listening to Deep Life, Cal Newport's podcast, and he had on his friend Jamie Kilstein, who just also built a community after going through a deep personal friendship recession. He rejoined one of his church groups and just let some of his friends know that he knows that he has not been hanging out with them, but he would like to be invited if they ever do something in the future. He was vulnerable, he just shared that, and they actually had an event that evening, so he went and he had a good time. When it comes to making friends, period, you're not going to be able to get away with not being vulnerable. You have to disclose things about yourself, and you have to be willing to look like somebody who doesn't have any friends, because otherwise people might not include you. So it's okay, we all have to do it. Be a little bit vulnerable and take that opportunity to meet new people.
Help me, I'm lonely.
And the last most important thing when it comes to building a community is simply showing up. It is important to keep going to these events and keep putting yourself out there. And most importantly, when you do start making friends and they ask you to do things, it's also important to make plans and follow through with them. It is so easy when a friend asks you to do something, and maybe it's Thursday or Friday night and you worked and you're tired and you just really don't want to do it. It can be easy to say no, and it's sometimes fair to say no, but the truth is, the only way you're going to build community is to start saying yes. And that sometimes may mean that you have to put your other priorities to the side, but it's really important to say yes.
Takeaways.
So, takeaways for this episode. How do you inoculate yourself in the friendship recession? If you're feeling lonely, know that you are not alone. How funny, you are not alone in your loneliness. And I would like to normalize that. People are moving around. We just got through a pandemic where everything was shut down. It's normal to not have friends, and it's normal to want friends. So we are here to empower you to put yourself out there and make a community.
The 5 steps we talked about today. 1. Create a vision. Imagine what you want your community to look like. You want to know where things are going. 2. Get out there. Meetups, Bumble BFF, friends of friends. Get out there and meet people, as many as you can.
And track them. Make a friend database. Keep notes on the people that you're meeting. It's really easy to forget people. Don't feel bad about it. A friend database is not as weird as it seems.
4. Hang out again. Maybe ask them to hang out. Or you can do something structured like the 2-hour cocktail party. And last but not least, step number 5, show up. If you watch The Bachelor or Bachelorette, you may always be hearing The Bachelorette tell people that they want someone who shows up. It's almost become cliche in those shows, but it is very true, both in those shows and in real life. There is no relationship without repeated connection. You have to show up.
Sammy and Michelle are here for you when it comes to building a community. We're doing it. We don't know anybody except our friends Marco, Claretta, and John, and all of these new people we've met through Sammy's aggressive friendship making. So, here's to making friends, y'all. We're out here. We're doing it.
Community time.
Before we say goodbye, it's our community time. Something that's so nice, Sammy, about our podcast is I feel like it prevents us from going into a friendship recession because we have so many great members of our community. That being said, it's been really nice to go to all of these different meetups. I loved our writing meetup. It was cool to see those people twice now. We know them, we're getting to know their interest, and we get to write. So it's a win-win for me.
I completely agree, Michelle. I love meeting people and making new friends, and I have to say the meetups in our small town are bomb. It has not been a single miss so far. The people are amazing, and it's been great getting to know everybody.
Not so small town anymore, Sammy. If you have a comment specifically about that episode, leave us a comment, buildawealthyspirit.com, on the website itself. So nice. Our newsletter, you can actually read show notes. You can read our thoughts on this topic. We share all of the links and stuff that we talk about. It's a great place to chat with our community. If you're trying to build community, hello, show up on the Build a Wealthy Spirit page.
And most importantly, be sure to join us next time as we put down the rulebook and we rethink the status quo.
Please do not insult our audience that plays Olympic level beach volleyball. It's very hot. Heat-wise.
You're one of those.
Anyways.